Welcome to the Your Peak Life podcast. Let's conquer the summit of life and reach the apex of our potential.
All right, welcome to another episode of Your Peak Life. Today we got Jose Luis Nuñez in the house.
What's going on?
Listen, man, so I guess you're here. Where you from?
I'm from Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I had Edwin in here.
Yeah.
He would be going crazy right now.
Yeah.
We're in Jersey. I grew up in Patterson. I could almost name the streets.
Right.
But I guess your whole life, born and raised out there?
Born and raised.
Gotcha. Now, well, I know you joined the Navy. Did you join right at 18 or?
So I went to school. I got into a nursing program.
Okay.
COVID hit. And so me studying at home really wasn't doing it for me. And my mom had gotten sick. So financially, we kind of took a hit. I picked up a job on my 18th birthday. I went for an interview to be a forklift driver at a warehouse. I started off working nights, so school was still going well. But then they offered me to work mids as well.
Okay.
So now I was working 2 shifts. I was 18, making $18 an hour, working overtime. Started making a little bit of extra money. I really wasn't too focused on the school. And so then I ended up, my first semester, I finished with a 2.6 GPA.
Okay.
Which, coming from somebody who always had A's and
Right.
B's, it wasn't looking too hot. To stay in the program, I needed a 2.5. So I was still in the program, but I made the decision, it's just not working out for me studying online. At the time, I didn't know how much longer COVID was going to be for. So I just was like, you know what? I'm not going to continue this college and studying.
That's when you joined in 2020, 2021?
2021, February of 2021. So
Okay.
I was going on winter break. I still didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew that if I was to sit down and tell my parents, I'm dropping out of college, I'm just going to work at a warehouse, they weren't going to be too happy with it. So I said, okay, I need a plan. I need something that I know for sure that I'm going to do next. And so my cousin, he served as a Marine. He did 6 years in aviation. He
Okay.
told me he loved that route. And he told me, just join the military. It'll give you 4 years, 5 years, whatever your contract is. You're going to have a job. You're going to be serving your country. You're going to walk away with a lot of things that in just being in school, you're not going to gain from. But on top of that, it also gives you time to figure out what it is that you want to do.
Yeah. I mean, that part I agree. A lot of times, like some of my younger cousins and things like that, they're not really doing anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just do 2 years, do 4 years, do something.
Yeah.
Like you get that experience, you could get out, do some contracting, whatever. But okay, you joined during COVID. How was boot camp like?
It wasn't really that much like what you would think, like everyone quarantined or anything like that.
Okay.
It was a good experience. We had a lot of people get sick. And so the way that they used to do it was, let's say you have 3 racks. If one person, let's say in the middle, you got sick, everyone else was getting set back. So a total of 6 people will get set back
Damn.
at once.
So for those that are listening, setback means, your boot camp is what, 8 weeks?
8 weeks, yeah.
8 weeks long. So if you get set back, that means they add on a week. to
Yeah.
that?
So it depends on if there's another, what is it called? I don't even remember, but our group, if there was divisions. Okay. Yeah. So if there was another division that was just a week behind and they had room for you, you would go there. But if not, you can get set back 2 to 4 weeks.
Man, did you get set back?
No, I didn't. So of course, everyone got sick at some point.
Right.
But it's up to you whether or not you want to say something. And if you had a fever in the morning, you were going to the sink with cold water because they were checking our temperature every day.
Got it. So
Yeah.
even then, they were figuring out the loophole.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We figured that one quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, get some cold water. But I could only imagine during then when, like, that time, COVID was so new, nobody knew, like, how severe it was, how mild it was. Like, it was just like, you're going to die if you get this thing, right?
Right, yeah.
So, like, to even think about, like, Man, I'd rather not say anything. I'm gonna get sent back a week.
Yeah.
I'd rather go hit the sink
Yeah.
and just keep going.
I had to do it.
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, it's either I finish out while I am here, or I'm gonna get set back, be here longer. You're in the suck. Nobody wants to be in the suck for too long.
Yep.
And then we also quarantined for 2 weeks out in Fort McCoy and at an Army base. So we did that before boot camp. So you got to think, right? Boot camp, you don't have phone, no communication outside except letters. But then you're going and you're quarantining for 2 weeks on a base. You're not getting no letters there. You're not sending anything out. So it's like you're just in a room, and there was a total of 16 of us per room.
Yep.
So, you know.
I know my wife's last deployment, they had to quarantine in this barracks room, and they had cameras and everything. Like, if you step out of that room, like, they're sending you back home.
That's
they
how
were straight.
That's how it was in A school. They would have like quarantine barracks, and it was like, you want something, you got to order it. You're not allowed to step outside of the room, things like that. Luckily, I never had that problem.
So you go from boot camp, Chicago,
Right.
And where do you go next?
Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
And I'm ATI, so our schooling's about 5 months at the time, and then you got to wait to class up. So I was there for 7-8 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
I still think Pensacola had the best chow hall.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's great. Yeah.
I love Pensacola, man.
Yeah.
We used to go over there, run behind we used to hit those trails with the Swick and hit the lighthouse. We used to run out there.
Yeah.
That was a great place. And then from there, you end up here in Virginia?
Norfolk, yep.
Okay. Is this your first command?
Yep. First duty station, first command, first contract.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, and you hit this base 2022?
Still 2021. September of 2021.
All right.
September 26th. I will never forget that day.
Why is that?
Well, first of all, my sponsor, they don't really communicate. So
Right.
I'm going to a big Navy base. I have no idea where I'm going. I have a time that I have to report to. I'm driving from Jersey, so I took leave. I went home.
Okay. Got your
So,
vehicle.
my car's packed. I haven't ate all morning. It's 9 a.m. I have no idea where to go, and I'm in my whites.
All right.
So
you decided to travel in your whites?
no, so I
Okay.
so I changed at the gas station right across
Okay.
from the command. But I'm in my whites, and I'm sitting in my car calling my sponsor. No answer. There's no good service. I'm at HM-15 Blackhawks. It's a squadron, so we're not actually on a ship, which was a little bit better. Just me getting in. So I was glad he finally called back, and
Gotcha.
yeah.
Well, I mean, that's FOD. You
Yeah.
can't take it on the airline or,
Yeah.
or the flat line or whatever.
Yeah, it happens.
All right. So you finally get checked in. You're there. Brand new, obviously, boot camp, A school.
Yeah.
Now you hit the real fleet.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
No, not at all. At all. I mean, you go from boot camp to A school where you got the MTIs. So for those who don't know, they run the barracks, and they're still kind of strict,
Right. You got to be home at a certain hour. You got to
Right.
finish your schooling.
Yeah, you got to pass your
It's
classes.
like being
all
at the
that.
dorms in a college.
Exactly.
You got some curfews.
So then I hit the fleet, and it's just coking and joking every single day. And I'm like, wait a minute. This ain't what I joined. I thought it was going to be strict all the time
Right.
and stuff like that, but it was a great experience,
So I meet you. Has it been a year already?
It has. It's been a
Yeah.
year from today. It's already been a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I remember I heard this. Chris Castle is telling me, hey, I'm going to start a team. I got this guy, Jose, blah, blah, blah. He reminds me of you because he's kind of like just mellow, this,
Yeah.
that, and the other.
Yeah.
I was like, cool, Chris. You still got to train him, whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
Cool story.
Yeah.
He brings you along. Obviously, you're brand new into real estate.
Right.
He helped you buy a house, or how did you meet Chris?
So a little bit about when I first got here, right? I hit the fleet. You're working from 6 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
You have the rest of the day. You ain't doing nothing. I'm not going home to play video games. That's never who I was. So I went and I got a part-time job working construction.
Okay.
So in working with in construction with this guy, I met this kid named Seth who Chris helped buy a house.
Okay.
And that's how I met Chris. Because I went to his house. I was like, dang, how'd you buy a house? And he was 21. I was 19. And he was like, oh, you got to hit up my guy, Chris. And so that's how I got in contact with Chris.
Got it.
And I told Chris, I want to make money.
All right.
So I told Chris, I said, I need something that I can rent out. I can make some money lowering my cost of living, right? Because you got to pay either rent or mortgage.
Yep.
I don't want to pay $1,500, $1,700 a month. I want to pay less than $1,000.
Oh, damn. Well, are you getting BH at this point, or are you still living?
So by the time I met my buddy, I was living out in town, but I wasn't receiving BAH, which is why I had to pick up another job.
Okay.
Because it took 6 months to get me my BAH. So I got another job to pick up the slack. I wasn't going to call back home to mom and dad talking
They're already
about
having a rough time.
Yeah. And also I decided to leave the house. Once you leave the house, you just got to figure it out on your own.
100%.
So I knew, that was a decision I was going to take. So, so Chris, I talked to Chris a little bit about what I was looking for. And he said, well, you can always rent rooms. And I was like, no, Chris, I want a duplex.
All right.
And so he was like, okay, let me see what I can find you. And I called Chris on a Wednesday. I was on watch overnight. I called him at 8 a.m. He answered the phone. He said, I'll get you set up on an auto search. I said, okay, great. Friday morning, I was balls to 8. So 7:30, I'm getting off.
Right.
8 o'clock, Chris is returning a call. He's like, hey, so I have this property. It's not on the market yet. We can just go take a look at it. I said, okay. No idea what I was getting into. Actually, the contractor, Juan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had a duplex, but it was 2 separate houses.
I know which one you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah.
It was right up the street from another deal I had.
Okay. It's on Strand Street.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep. I think he put blue signing on that one.
Yes.
Yep.
Blue siding. So I go there, I'm checking it out, and I'm like, this is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I start second guessing, and I'm like, So I call my dad, and I'm like, Dad, what do you think? He was like, do it. What are you scared of? The one thing he always told me, he was like, don't be scared of life. You're young. You're 19. Let's just say in 2 years you have to go bankrupt, right? He put me the worst scenario so I can kind of gauge, like, okay, this ain't that bad. And he said, if you go bankrupt, by the time you're 30, you knew what you did wrong. You would have learned your lesson. By the time you're 30, you can get into another one and you're going to be ready for it.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? He's right. Full send. I bought that house. 3 months later, I got deployed to Bahrain. So I moved out, rented out both sides. Before I had left, my dad had gotten shoulder surgery.
Okay.
And so he had 6 months to recover. And so as I'm out in Bahrain, you're making that tax-free per diem.
Yep.
I'm like, okay. I start storing some money away, preparing for my comeback. And then the doctors tell my dad, hey, you need another 3 months to recover. But his job was like, you've been out 6 months. If you don't come back, we got to let you go.
Damn.
Yeah. So I called up Chris. Well, my dad didn't want me to sell the duplex, but I called up Chris and I said, is it possible for me to make money off of selling this house or not? And he said, well, let me see. Chris helped me sell that. And he represented both parties.
Gotcha.
And he knew. So I was under contract for my property in Portsmouth that I have now before I even finished the sale of this house.
Right.
So he helped me orchestrate that. The winnings, obviously, I was able to take care of my father for 3 months, my mom and my dad, and then also invest in this house in Portsmouth.
Nice.
And so prior to me coming back, I had talked to Chris a little bit about me becoming an agent. And I was a little bit hesitant because I was like, I'm still active duty. How much time is it going to take? You know, and I started doing the YouTube, just curious, right?
Yes.
Before bed, or if I couldn't sleep, I'm on YouTube. So I was on YouTube really trying to gauge what it would be like to be an agent.
And they don't really tell you. They're very vague.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I guess that's the point.
Yeah.
They don't really tell you about the actual work that goes behind it. Or they talk about earnings, this and that.
Right.
They'll touch on it, but most of the agents are failing. Half
Yeah.
of the agents haven't sold a fucking house here.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
9,000 agents, 4,500, I believe, haven't even sold a house
Right.
in 2024.
Right.
Now you obviously have a great mentor. You get your license.
Yeah.
How's that like now?
Well, my first deal was before my license was even mailed out. And that was something that,
Yeah, like a referral.
yeah. So,
Gotcha.
so I had at work. So I was doing the rental. I was living for free, and I got tacked on 50 grand in debt. So what I have to do, I had to come out of that one way or another. So I decided to rent rooms out of my house to active duty military construction work. It didn't matter, right? Because sometimes you're put into
see.
positions and you have to overcome them. You can't wait for the next person to come solve your problems. It's up to you. So you got to get up and after it. So I said, okay, I'm going to rent these rooms and I'm going to get my real estate license. So afterwards, I started talking to everybody at work. I was already talking to the younger guys like myself about how, yo, you can buy a house and live for free, save that BAH, make some extra money to then do it again. Because like my whole mindset is at 35, I don't want to work no more. Am I going to? 100%. But if I don't want to go in, I don't want to go in. I don't have to.
Got it.
So just me talking to the younger guys and just mentoring them a little bit. Once I was for sure going to study and take that test, I started talking about how I'm going to get my license. And so one of my buddies actually came up to me and said, I want to buy a house for my parents out in North Carolina. Can you help me? And that's where Landry comes in.
I see.
And so I referred him to Landry. I would go down to North Carolina, look at properties as well, just to kind of gauge what is it that I'm really going to be doing. But up until that point, I still had no idea of really what went behind the scenes and how much work it actually is.
Yeah, because you're still working full time now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm working nights. So it's a little rough.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
So nights. So are you working Monday through Friday or Sunday through Thursday?
Monday through Thursday.
Oh, it's not bad.
No, it's not terrible, but
yeah, you're missing out those 4 days. You know, most people get off work and they want to look at a house or two or whatever.
Yeah.
Afternoon time, and you're stuck at work.
So it kind of works out semi nicely because with my team now, if I have somebody that wants to look at something later on in the day, I'll just let Chris know ahead of time.
Okay.
And but it's also good because early in the morning you get those clients that they want to go out early, look at things. And it also works in my favor since I'm targeting a little bit more of the listing side. I can make those earlier appointments and things like that. So
now, yeah, your first year in real estate, how many deals have you done?
I've closed a total of 6.
Okay.
And I have 3 under contract.
Nice.
Yeah.
And now you've seen an uptick, and also you've been showing up to call nights.
Yeah.
Which we tell people, you know, you got to get after it, right? If you don't have a big database or some kind of a lead source, you got to do something.
Right.
Something. And at some point you came in, talked to me, you talked to Eric. I think you saw the call nights or something on Facebook, which we're promoting.
Right.
And you decided to show up.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure I remember that it was like one of the first nights. And you took it upon yourself after that to continuously keep making calls.
Yep.
And what happens?
So it's just about getting over that fear of getting on the phone with someone that you don't know. And it's just doing it. Like you have to do it, right? So if, let's just say a scenario, right? If you want to lose weight, yeah, you can cut back on food. You're going to lose a little bit of water weight, whatever the case may. You may lose a lot of weight, but at the end of the day, you have to get after it. Whether it's what you eat or going to the gym, there's no other way about it. And so I had that mindset going into it. It was like, okay, my first couple of deals, they were all buyers, right? And it's from work or just people that I talked to, so my own sphere. So I really wasn't focusing too much, right? My first couple of deals, what was I doing in between those deals? I could have had 1 or 2 deals at once going on.
Right.
Why didn't I? Right. But at the same time, being a newer agent, I was a little bit more relaxed. I was more studying the contract and, but it was like, I'm not really talking to that many people.
Yep.
And then I would come to trainings. You guys talk about the touches and how many people you should be talking in a day. And I'm like, well, I'm talking to one person, my client. That's it. Or
and
Chris.
yet you're going to to work and you're surrounded by military members,
right?
VA loans all day long.
Yeah. So I'm like, yo, what am I doing wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I came to you. I had a deal going on, but I was like, I see Chris, he's always busy. And so I'm like, I want to be like that. How do I get there? And then I remember you told me, you were like, just do it. And you were like, it's really, go ahead, take somebody. Chris isn't big on social media, right? We had this conversation.
Yep.
He's not. So I'm like, well, I can't really ask him. And you said, look at my page. I went on your page. I said, okay, I see what I got to do now. And so then Canva. Now I'm doing it on my own, just doing that stuff is what is going to produce more business.
Do people know you're a real estate agent today?
Right.
That's what I asked.
Yeah.
It's like, do people know you're an agent today?
Right.
Because if you think about it, you go into that office or command.
Yeah.
You go into that hole. You're there. Outside of that, nobody knows you unless you get online.
Right.
And project that image that, hey, I sell houses. I help people list homes.
Yeah.
But you told me something right after that call night, you got an appointment like that very next day.
That same night. The same night I had an appointment and it was for Thursday. So I was listening to them talking on the phone, right? So for the first hour from 4 to 5, they're pretty much telling you, giving you examples, role playing
Scripts,
so that you could try and get a little bit comfortable. But now again, you're in the office. The people who you're scripting with, you've either seen them around, you've had a conversation, you're already comfortable with them. It's different when you get on the phone.
Yes.
So I'm just listening, and one thing I picked up was you got to be confident, number one. And then number two is if you're calling a for sale by owner, they're going to want you to come the very next day. Perception is reality, so make it seem like you're busy, even if you're not. If you're a newer agent, it's Monday, right? We're calling on Monday. I'm fully booked till Thursday morning. How does Thursday morning at 9 a.m. sound? Great. Just turns out that same day I had to take my E5 exam.
Oh,
and I missed out on that appointment. Yeah. And I tried to reschedule, but, obviously I left a bad taste in his mouth, which is okay.
Yeah.
I understand. So then after that, I just started calling. So for the first 2 weeks, I started calling every night. Every night. Saturday and Sunday, too. I was calling. And I would write down addresses. If they didn't answer, I was calling them at lunchtime. If they didn't answer, I'm calling before bed.
Yep.
And they're going to see the same number coming through the phone. They're going to be like, somebody's really trying to reach me. Who is this? And my first approach isn't, hey, can I sell your house? No. They already think that they know it all. They know how this is going to go down. They know that they have to pay a certain fee. Okay, so now you got to take it from a different angle. So the angle I personally take is I tell them I have an interested buyer, which is not a lie, right? Because Iron Valley, we got plenty of agents. Everybody's got a buyer, hopefully. And if you don't, that's on you.
Yeah.
But everybody's looking. So I got a potential buyer. I'd like to come by and take a first-person video so that they could get a feel of the home. Okay, great. Let's get an appointment. That's it. Boom. Once they tell me we're confirmed for a certain time, I'm getting off the phone. I don't have anything else to say to you right now. When you get in front of people and you're in their face, it's completely different. You know?
Yeah, lock it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I people talk themselves out of a deal or an appointment.
Yeah. No.
It's like, just
Go.
this is what you want to do? Okay,
Yeah.
go. I'll write it up. Like,
Yeah.
what else is there to talk about?
Right.
You know, especially if you've had like a buyer consultation or a listing presentation or whatever. Everything's been explained.
Yeah.
All right. So now that you're doing this, you've added this to your calendar. Obviously, you've seen an uptick in your production. We always like to ask people, like, what's your goals? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? You know, it looks like contract may be ending with the military.
Yep. Contract ends February of 2026.
Okay.
So I plan on going on Skill Bridge here in August of next year for Iron Valley, obviously, which will open up my schedule a lot more. And I'll be able to attend all the trainings and handle my clients a little bit better, in the sense of it'll just be me, not necessarily utilizing my team.
Understand.
And in 5 years, I don't know where I see myself. I really do just see myself thriving. Eventually I want to get into flipping, but you need capital for that. So just starting out, it's going to take its time. But in 5 years, I see myself with another 5 houses, just doing rentals, because I feel like, especially military, they miss out on that.
Yeah.
Because they're scared. And it's like, you have the VA loan, you're paying nothing down. If there's a grant out, I can get your closing costs paid and possibly your $5,000 worth of credit card debt, right?
Yep.
And then your house is going to appreciate. So you're going to buy, stay here 3 years. You decide that you're going to take off. You renting, you're paying $1,500, $1,700 a month.
You're paying the same amount or more.
Exactly. And then when you walk, and the worst part about it is you're paying somebody else's mortgage, but when it comes down to it, when you go to get that security deposit, oh, a stain on the carpet. Yeah, we got to get the whole carpet clean, minus $200.
I agree.
So
they people say, like, complain about the interest rates, but when you're paying rent, you're paying 100% interest.
Right.
And then when you, as a landlord, have to replace that oven, have to fix that carpet or whatever, guess what? Rents go up because you got to recoup that money.
Right.
So it's like when people say, you know, they're scared to own a house because of the maintenance, it's not that bad.
No, it's not. And most of us, active duty military, you're good with your hands, right? Mechanics, all different kinds of things. And if you don't know, I can almost guarantee you somebody at your job, we come from all different places. Somebody there knows.
Yes.
Ask. Speak
some
up.
Carpentry.
Yeah.
Some well, okay, in 5 years you don't know, which is fine. Like, honestly, leave the door open. But if you want to do flipping, things like that, you don't necessarily need capital, but that's something I think you're going to learn as you get to network a little bit more. Your time is limited, obviously.
Right.
But as you network, you're going to find that you don't necessarily need capital. You just need to find the right people.
Right.
I think Chris, when I met Chris, he was a past client of mine, and we did a 203K loan. He just used the loan to fund his whole buy and flip.
Okay.
He did it different. He bought it and lived in the property for a few years, but then he did it again, you know. And now he actually has capital,
Right.
where he's funding his own projects,
Right.
from that first one that just was, well, that, and then COVID helped, because when he bought that property, I think total all in, I think he was like 270, let's just say, and they turned around and sold it for over 500.
Yeah. He told
That's
me
a great
that
investment.
story, and I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, but that was really zero money down. He decided to put some money down, but that's fine. And then in 5 years, things change too, man. Families, you might meet somebody, things like that. Do you intend to go back to school at all?
No.
Okay.
I want to be an owner
All right.
someday.
Gotcha.
I know 5 years I could say I can do it, but is it realistic? I won't really know until I get out of the military. Until I can dedicate all my time to this, I can't really say for sure 5 years is a realistic goal, which is why I say in 5 years I don't know where I'll be.
Okay.
Or with the business or not, right?
Right.
Just in terms of the time constraint, but the ultimate goal is to be a broker.
Well, you're learning a skill that most people don't do. You know, I didn't do it. I use systems and I did some cold calling. It's one of the hardest, I would say the easiest things you could do, but it's the hardest. People find it to be the hardest thing to do, just getting over that fear.
Yeah.
But you could take that skill anywhere.
Right.
You could go to Jersey, you could go to wherever,
Yeah.
and you're going to find sellers.
Right.
You know, we tell people, those FISBOs, they got their hands up. Like,
Yeah.
I want to sell.
Yeah.
And stats show less than 7%, I want to say, actually sell. And then a lot of those sell for a lot less than
Yeah.
what they actually wanted.
It's actually great for your buyer. I always
Yes,
get my
I
buyers
agree.
a good deal.
Yeah, because they're trying to sell. So like, hey,
Yeah.
we want this, that, and the other. Done.
Yeah. Great. Like, oh, well, if I was representing you, we would not be doing that,
No,
you
I
know?
would have saved you a couple.
Yeah.
But, there is a market for that. So,
Right.
no, I see you, man. You're doing great. What would you say to Chris?
Thank you. I mean, that's all, everything else I would, say to him, he knows already.
Okay.
But just thank you. I
No,
mean,
that's good.
I'll tell you a little bit about how my first purchase went, and you'll kind of understand why I'm here today. 19 years old, buying my first house. Chris says to me, he says, here's my number. Call me at any point in time if you have any questions about the home buying process at all. So I didn't even tell you, it was Friday. I wasn't pre-approved yet. I got pre-approved while I was looking at the house, and I was under contract before the night even finished.
Yep.
So by around 8 p.m., 9 p.m., I'm under contract. I'm like, yo, I'm actually doing this. So it's 9:30. I'm texting Chris. I'm scared, right? I'm scared. Oh, man, I was scared.
Yeah.
I called Chris at 10 p.m. to ask him questions. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he told me call him at any time, right? I'm 19 years old, 10 o'clock. It's
Yep.
pretty early to me. I didn't realize how much older Chris was because he really doesn't show it, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, no problem. We stayed on the phone till 11 o'clock that night.
Oh, jeez.
And he was just, and it was crazy because he was answering every single question off the top. Like, he wasn't like, oh, I got to go figure this out, or I'll
No,
get back to
You
you.
read the contract.
Right.
Internalize it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I was just like, all right, yeah, I feel comfortable now. Now I can go to sleep. And that right there really showed me like his importance in this business, right?
Right.
If he wasn't there to answer those questions for me, I would have tried to gotten out of it.
Man, and I remember that duplex because it was unique. Because I always visit like projects,
Yeah.
contractors that I know. And when I saw that one, I was like, man, that one's a dope property.
Yeah.
Because it was like 2 separate units.
Yeah.
Well, I saw it before it got worked on, so I
Oh,
knew
okay.
what it looked like.
Okay.
And it was weird, handyman, do-it-yourself type work all over the place at the time.
Right.
And Juan broke it down.
Oh, yeah.
How they were converting that garage and this house over here. And I was like, man, this is a great property.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
it was. And, sometimes I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have let it go. But
No.
I think it was better because at the time my Navy paychecks weren't really handling, the repairs and things like that. You're talking about 2 kitchens, 3-4 bathrooms,
Right.
a lot more square footage and area to cover financially. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? It was a stepping stone. And that's really what I tell a lot of people at work. They're like, I don't want to settle here. You're young. You're going to be stuck here for 4 years. You might as well go ahead and invest the time and the energy to get into a house to where when you leave this place, you have 2 options. You can either rent it out and find a good property manager, or you can sell it and walk away with a minimum of $10K. Or you can go rent and barely get your security deposit back. Houses, it's all an investment. You're investing in yourself. You're betting on yourself.
Yep.
So you better hope that, your taste is good, right? If the kitchen isn't updated or remodeled, okay, can I do it myself? A little bit of paint goes a long way. Little touches like that it's just going to be appealing to the eye to the next person. And you're never buying a house just for yourself. You're buying it for yourself and for the next buyer, you know?
Correct.
So,
Correct. Keep it neutral. Well, Jose, thank you for coming, man.
thank you.
I know I'm
appreciate it.
going to watch you grow. You're going to be successful. I really believe that. Well,
Appreciate
tune
it.
in for another episode of Your Peak Life, YouTube, all platforms. Hit the like and hit that subscription. Till next time.
Take it easy.